See, breaking news, as we are literally starting to record, Dane Scarlett has been recalled by Tottenham.
Ooh, I did wonder what was going to happen there, so that's interesting. Obviously, we've got Bradshaw in now. Harris has looked back to his cell for the last few weeks. Interesting.
Should we start this then? Start a brand new podcast?
Let's kick it off.
Sting.
The big man with a big goal on the big occasion.
Well, best place to start is to just introduce ourselves and say this is obviously a podcast about Oxford United. It's called You Are My Oxford. Why are we doing it? Well, Dan and I met, about 20, 25 years ago at work and bonded over Oxford United. And then since then have been chatting shit about Oxford United for that whole period of time, whether it be in a car journey, whether it be over a beer at drinks or at work in the early days. And we thought rather than just talk shit between ourselves, we'd share it with you guys. So welcome to You Are My Oxford.
We're going to mix it up a little bit though, Matt, aren't we? Because some weeks we're just going to do it this format, me and you chatting shit. Other weeks we've got some special guests lined up. So people from Oxford United's past, we're going to be talking to them. Look out for some really nice, interesting names. That's it.
What we're not going to do though is talk too heavily about tactics. But just one thing I was thinking about, Dan, if we were to compare ourselves, just to give listeners a bit of an idea, if we were to compare ourselves to a previous kind of Oxford United striking duo, who would it be? And not necessarily, it doesn't have to be from kind of the same era. So you could have, John Byrne with Harris. You could have John Durnin with Paul Moody.
Maybe Martin Foyle and Dean Saunders, maybe. Me, the intelligent striker, dropping deep, taking all the glory and smacking the chances in.
What about David Rush and John Durnin? Different eras again, but
Can you imagine
I'd like to see that front line, by the way. We'd pay good money for that. All right, shall we get cracking?
All right, then. So in this section, we are going to be talking about all the games that have happened since our last episode. So, this is our very first episode. Matt, you're going to take us back to 1893, a disappointing 2-1 reverse against, I can't remember what it's called, Cowley Barracks.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot to cover. Let's do it in chronological order. Let's start with that game. No, we're not going to do that. What should we chat about first?
Des, it's got to be Des, right? How are you feeling about Des?
Well, listen, it's not even been a month, which is mad. And I think when we first heard the news, both of us were hugely disappointed, to say the least. There were a few expletives there. But we could never have kind of seen what was going to happen over the next kind of 3 or 4 weeks in that Christmas period. So now we're both, in a really happy place and, Gary Rowett's Yellow Army and all that kind of stuff. But if you just take me back to that moment when Des left, I'm not going to lie, I was absolutely gutted. For once, we're all football fans, and for once the stars aligned where that kind of local boy came to his club, took them up, and everything was seemingly rosy. Obviously, if you went to QPR away and, a few of those other games, you'll realise it wasn't rosy at all. But he'd taken us up and we just, from my perspective, wanted to give him a fair crack at it. And almost when I heard the Des news, I almost felt I lost a part of the club. Like it wasn't the kind of thing that we tended to do. But 3 weeks on, and I'm like, Gary Rowett's Yellow Army. So, kind of what do I know? And hats off, I guess, to the powers that be with the benefit of hindsight. But I don't know what you think, Dan.
I think it kind of helps that Gary Rowett's quite a likeable fella. Everything, when you hear Gary Rowett speak, he just comes across as a decent bloke. And obviously the results have been spectacular. I mean, what is it? 4 wins and 2 draws at the time of us speaking. I mean, that's just absolutely bloody amazing. I mean, I really wanted it to work out for Des. I think everyone did, right? It's lovely having that local lad. It was lovely what happened at Wembley. But as the results got worse and worse and worse, there was just a little bit of me that was starting to think, and this is probably a hot take, but was he just lucky? Did he get really lucky between April and September where our results just were great? Did we get lucky at Wembley? Was it just that Bolton didn't show up? I'm just throwing it out there. I really wanted it to work out for him. I was absolutely devastated when we sacked him, but it has kind of worked out all right at the moment.
You know what? It's funny you say that. I wonder what Des is thinking now. I wonder also if he's learned a lot now looking back from that kind of month period where things weren't going right, and now we can take a step back and go, he didn't get it right. Was he a bit rabbit in the headlights? The team lost their confidence and lost their way during that period, and now you can see, all sorts of players across the team who have just found their confidence again, and almost they've been given a simple job to do on the pitch, and they're just executing that. So I'd love to know what kind of is going through Des's mind now. And I hope he can look back on the year and a bit and just be really happy about what he achieved. And I hope that he gets a really good job soon, because the guy deserves it. I absolutely. When you, even though he's only with us for a year, he ranks right up there for me for just giving me that day at Wembley in when was it, May?
I think he did make a lot of us fall back in love with the team again. We'd had quite a few years of kind of stagnation, and then the end of the Robinson era, and then what's his face buggering off to Bristol City, and it's all just getting a little bit kind of depressing. And then when he came in, obviously it was really difficult for him at first. With I just felt so sorry for him. Moving to not a new country, but having been away for so long, and then he didn't have any support at all. And then for him to turn it around the way he did, and for him to get the people in around him that he wanted, and then to have that incredible day at Wembley, and then to have this amazing start to the season. And, after that Norwich game, I genuinely was convinced we were never going to lose a game ever again, that we just got this incredible guy that was going to lead us to beyond the Premier League into this kind of new Super League. We were going to be one of the first members of the Super League breaking away.
I mean, the start of this season was just. It was almost too good, wasn't it? It was beyond our wildest dreams. And like you say, we weren't even talking about playoffs. We were talking about automatic. Maybe got a bit ahead of ourselves. Yeah. But should we speak about Gary Rowett's Yellow Army?
Gary Pragmat, I'm calling him. Gary Pragmat. Because is it fair to call him just Pragmatic Gary? I mean,
I don't think so. I think he's
Praggers.
I think he's come with this reputation, and a lot of people, keep going with it. But I must admit, I've seen a few examples in games. What if you think about the first game when we were 3-0 up and didn't quite shut up shop, and even when we, on Saturday against Blackburn, towards the end, Vaulk was still putting in his long throw. People were still pushing up for corners. I don't think we're completely look for a goal and then. No. And then go completely tight. And I don't think, he'll always go for a draw. But I think what I've seen, the team just seem to know their roles within the team so much better than before. So maybe that's where the pragmatic, kind of side comes.
I don't feel fully qualified to comment either, because I haven't been to that many games. I've been to 2 of his games. I went to Preston away, which was that was quite pragmatic, to be fair.
Definitely... I wasn't at that. I've been at every home game, and then I wasn't at Millwall due to a dash to A&E with my daughter. That's a whole other story and podcast. So I didn't manage to go to Millwall. I didn't manage to go to Preston. I've been to all the home games, which have been fantastic. And each one in some ways has got better and better. And I will say that the Blackburn performance, we looked like a proper championship side, I have to say, and was, I would say, the most complete performance of the season. And the roar when that goal went in was fantastic. Absolutely loved it.
Where were you? You were behind the goal, but did you get
behind the goal, right on the edge? So where Cam came in and slid towards after he thumped it into the top corner. I was right in the corner there, so it was absolutely loved it. So I had a wonderful view of the actual strike, and then a great view of the celebration as well, which just made it. But I don't think I've celebrated the goal more all season actually than that. It was just fantastic. What a thumper!
And it was as well, I have to say, a great atmosphere in the ground as well. I'm right behind the goal, and the noise, and I'm going to say something else controversial. I quite like the drummer we've got going on at the moment.
Yeah, it was definitely something I thought we should discuss at some point. But you're a fan.
Early, yeah. I like a drummer. I've always been envious. Like when clubs like Aldershot or Portsmouth come to town, and they've got a great drummer, it just kind of keeps the rhythm going and keeps the noise. I'm in favour.
Yeah, no, fair. I mean, I've not got a strong view either way. But does it feel a bit like you're generating a false atmosphere? I don't know. No, I'm keeping an open mind.
Better to have a false atmosphere than no atmosphere, which is the case quite a lot last year, for instance. I thought it was a great performance. Really, really great performance on Saturday. You say you didn't go to any away games. Obviously, I didn't see you at Preston. Do you know what? I love Preston. I love the ground. It's an amazing stadium. Like proper kind of mixture between kind of old and new, and really, really steep. Like really good atmosphere in there. I absolutely love Preston as well. I think it's the friendliest place I've ever been. Every single pub I went into, and I went to 2 or 3. Every single pub was just really friendly. Like people coming up to us, chatting, about the game coming up or the game that we just watched. Just really, really nice place. Loved it.
Yeah, you know what? In all my years following Oxford, never been to Preston. Done a lot of the Northwest, your Stockports and all sorts, but never done Preston. So, yeah, a bit gutted I didn't go. But did you go to Plymouth? No.
Didn't go to Plymouth, Matt. No, Tuesday night. Probably not quite the kind of thing my family would let me get.
Can we have a little chat about the goal then?
Go on then.
I mean, what do you think of that? I did not think that Vaulk had that in him.
Well, I mean, when he joined, people told us he did have it in him. Like, the highlights reel had not lots, but certainly few goals of his whacked in, and the kind of celebration. The transformation of Vaulks from this kind of almost laughable character under Buckingham into this absolute midfield enforcer who offers so much in terms of long throws, in terms of like good passing, and now this incredible goal. Just absolutely incredible. And you feel for Buckingham, like, you feel that Vaulks wasn't able to do it for him, but what's happened?
Yeah, well, that's it. The turnaround out of any player since Rowett has come in, the improvement has probably been seen the most in Vaulks. And why wasn't he doing it under Buckingham and now suddenly is doing it under Rowett? I mean, yeah, it must be something to do with the manager, I guess. But, and that, striking the way he did against Plymouth, I guess, just, that comes from confidence, doesn't it? He tried it again against Blackburn, and I wish he hadn't, when it kind of trickled off towards the corner flag. But, he's been incredible. What a turnaround. And also, by the way, I didn't know he had that somersault in his locker.
Well, I did know he had it in his locker because, again, it's something that was on that highlight reel video that went around when we signed him. It just terrifies me, though, when people do that.
Did Moody once injure himself doing one?
He was more of a cartwheel? He was more of a cartwheeler, wasn't he?
It wasn't the most graceful.
No, it wasn't the best.
Which Oxford players down the years have somersaulted?
So I've been thinking about this. I've come up with 2 that I seem to recall doing it, but I haven't got any video evidence whatsoever that they did do it. This could just be my memory playing tricks. Manny Omoyinmi, I'm sure he did it, but he didn't score very often. But I'm sure when he did, there was a flip. I'm sure. Yeah. The other one I seem to vaguely remember doing it is Paul Powell.
Maybe.
The problem with both those players is they played in an era where there is almost no footage available online. Like as you know, I'm a bit of a YouTube trawler trying to find kind of old bits of footage. But those kind of crap seasons, the dark era when we were absolutely terrible, there's very, very, very little footage. Partly because VHSs stopped a couple of years before that, so people didn't record games so much, they didn't record highlights programs. Also, I think it's just because there's crap time, so nobody was putting anything up. There's also that kind of era when Sky Sports didn't have the footage, and it was ITV Digital who then went bankrupt. So all the kind of archive has just disappeared.
Maybe this is a good time our first call out to listeners. Hopefully, there's a few people listening. Can you remember any former Oxford players who were famous for a somersault, or actually? What's been some of your favourite celebrations over the years? But just to put a footnote to this section. I mean, what is it? 14 points from 6 games, are we?
Yep.
Under Rowett? I mean,
championship form.
It's been crazy. And I never thought I'd be this happy kind of 3 or 4 weeks after Des's, ultimate sacking. So, yeah, fair play to Gary Rowett, and just so super impressed with not only the performances, but when you hear him, before matches, when you hear him straight after games, you're like, it's one of them where you go, oh, he knows what he's talking about. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know who he reminds me of in a funny kind of way? Alex Stewart, the former England cricketer, who like really kind of professional, really kind of straight speaking, honest, like really kind of everything about him was just kind of impressive. You wouldn't ever take the piss with him ever.
Yeah.
But he's also really likable as well.
Yeah. He's almost like a proper professional, isn't he? He's not winging it. He's got a plan.
If he was in charge of this podcast, it'd be in a lot better shape than it is now. I'll tell you that.
You are my Oxford. Theo's Stat Corner.
So 14 points from 6 games. Should we delve into that a bit more? And I can see Theo has joined us. And for anyone listening or viewing this, do you want to tell us a bit more about Theo? Because he is going to be our stat man going forward.
I think I speak for him here. He loves the stat. We're in the WhatsApp group together, and I think it's fair to say he fills it with XG chat. So I thought it'd be great to have on as a regular guest to come and give us the latest stats. Theo, I've been looking into Will Vaulk's incredible turnaround in form. Hit us with some good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of looking into slightly the different role, partly that he's been asked to do under Des, and now moving into Rowett. And one interesting thing that kind of came out, that considering how derived he was for the first part of the season for giving the ball away in kind of quite desperate situations, is that his actual passing accuracy hasn't changed at all under Rowett compared to the rest of the season. It's just obviously that he's now got a buddy next to him in Brannigan, just leaving him a little bit less exposed and asking him to play passes in slightly less dangerous areas, I'd have thought. So it's not necessarily that his passing has improved or got any better. It's maybe the circumstances and the pragmatic style that Rowett's asking the team to play.
What was his XG earlier on in the season for the opposition? Because most of his passes seem to set opposition strikers clean through on goal.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. The Coventry one in particular would have been close to 1.
He does love putting a pass in a tricky kind of area, though. I think he just plays with his back to the rest of the pitch quite a lot. I've kind of noticed, but listen.
Yeah, I think he was, especially the way we were playing with Des, he was expected to get the ball off defenders and turn and give it to the fullback or try and get it to one of the 2-10s that Des liked to play. And it's a difficult job to do, especially against Championship press. And he was struggling with it, and he kept giving the ball away in very dangerous situations. But yeah, and now he's got Brannigan next to him. He's either got something he can just drop it onto Cam, and Cameron can be looking forward, or he's just generally in a kind of slightly more defensive shape, meaning that he's less likely to give it away.
What else has he kind of been good at or improved at in recent weeks?
Well, I think it's more that we're just playing towards his strengths. If you look at him over the course of this season in the Championship against other Championship midfielders, he's in the kind of top 10% for aerial duels won and top 20% for defensive duels won. So we're with this kind of slightly more direct style that we've got under Rowett, they're just potentially playing towards his strengths more, rather than that kind of asking him to recycle the ball, have players running at him, which would happen quite a lot, especially in the bad run, and also break the lines with passes through to our 2-10s that we used to have under Des. Not particularly his strengths, whereas now he can win the ball in the air, win the ball back, and just simple passes to Cameron or whoever is near him.
Just a quick question. We're obviously using his long throw a whole lot more now. Do long throws count towards assists and so on?
They count towards all the expected assist and chance creation stats. However, interestingly, he was getting a higher XA per game under Des than he has been under Rowett. I think a lot of that probably is because he was taking corners at the start of the season, whereas he obviously isn't anymore. But the long throw is yet to have any real impact on his expected assist statistics.
he had one, didn't he? Didn't we score from a long throw? Was it West Brom where Dane Scarlett nodded in?
Yeah, flick on and then little header, wasn't it?
So he doesn't get it because it was flicked on.
Well, I think that goes into, that was a Des era. So I think but he doesn't get an assist actually, no. So it wouldn't have counted towards the expected assist, but chance creation he would have got.
But I just think also just generally, with all these stats, he's obviously it seems a lot more confident generally, and probably that's why he had a thump from 25 yards out the other day.
I think he's just more, as all of these things that I've said just point towards the fact he's more in his comfort zone. He played next to Barry Bannon at Sheffield Wednesday. He's playing in that one, as we've said, is really difficult, and he was struggling with it.
I've got one last question to chuck to you in the stats kitchen. He's obviously also a brilliant bloke. Whenever you see him on the socials from the club, he just comes across as the nicest guy in the world. Is there a stat for that, for being a good bloke, XGB or something?
XGB, we can create one, start to decide what metrics go into it. But again, it points towards, I guess, why we signed him. And he's got a wealth of championship experience, and his activity on social media obviously puts the club in a good light, and we're under more spotlight than we have been before. Just a shame that he wasn't quite suited to that role that he was signed to do under Des.
Theo, thank you very much. You can come again if that's all right.
I'd love to.
Can we start the stats kitchen?
Stats kitchen, it is. I'll make sure I'm always in the same spot.
The big man with a big goal on the big occasion.
So we're in the middle of the transfer window, Matt. Absolute heap of signings, and as we just heard, Dane Scarlett has left the club. Let's talk about those that come in first of all. Let's start with Ole. What do you reckon?
Well, can I just clarify something? How much did he cost?
Well, I mean,
we think it's over $1 million.
That's the rumor.
Okay, so I mean, first things first. That not worries me, but I've got questions about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fair. Also, I'm just thinking if we've broken our transfer record, which sounds like we have. You want him to be the best thing ever. And then I'm like, well, he's not even made the bench against Blackburn. And so you do just go, and when I heard Gary Rowett speaking about him, he was like, yeah, I've seen videos of him, and yeah, the guys have shown me, and yeah, seems to be a good addition, to add to what we've got. Didn't fill me with confidence. And then so it does just, your mind just goes to, is this a bit of an Indonesian vanity project? And if it is, fine, but
I think we have to trust those at the club who will watch him play in training, and I'm sure even when he's ready to play, he'll come into the team. But yeah, I mean, I just cannot quite work out the logic of spending £1.6 million on someone who isn't. Sorry, that was the rumor that's gone around. Whatever amount it was. To spend that kind of money on somebody, you want them to be able to come in pretty much straight away and really add something to the squad. And I genuinely hope he does. Let's hope he's, just kind of getting fit at the moment and so on.
Listen, 100%. And I would love to be proved wrong. And we are all singing Ole, Ole, Ole by the end of the season. But we'll wait and see. Where should we go next?
Alex Matos.
Oh, he looks like a player, doesn't he?
Loves a tackle.
Oh, he loves a tackle. He loves to get forward. He looks like he wants to make things happen. He can get around the pitch. I mean, I haven't seen loads of him yet, but the few minutes I've seen, I'm like, I want to see more of him.
And he comes with a great rep. Tom Bradshaw.
I think he's going to be one of those strikers. In fact, we spoke a bit about Johnny Lager, John Durnin earlier, and it reminds me a bit of that, like. Socks down by his ankles, running about. I think he'll put a tackle in. I think he'll buzz all over the pitch. Might get a few yellow cards and stuff. And hopefully, we'll get the odd important goal. It's going to be interesting, over the next few months as Rowett he obviously wants to put his mark on his team, and this is a signing of a striker who he's worked with at Millwall, who's got goals from at Millwall. Whether, in Rowett's mind, he's going, Bradshaw's going to be my number 9, for the back half of the season. Or if it is, very much we can't give all the workload to Harris, and between Bradshaw and Harris, they'll mix it up. Be interesting to see what happens there.
we're delving a little bit into kind of statistics and formational type chat here. I want to say he is the most hipster looking striker or hipster looking footballer I think we've ever had. I mean, he's beautifully groomed, Matt.
Yeah.
Something I know that you
Very nicely coiffured.
and also I'm going to say the most cheerful person I've ever seen as well. The 2 interviews I've seen with him so far, he couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
Looks like the happiest man in the world to be
Which
here.
is a bit different to John Durnin. I get it.
Yeah, when you compared him to John Durnin, I was like, yeah, I'm not exactly.
Just the running about on the pitch. I was, socks down.
All action. Yeah, yeah. Good shout. Mikhail Helik.
I haven't tried his first name yet. I'm just going Helik.
Loves a header.
Oh. I mean, one thing I'll say is coming in centre back when you pretty much have not met any of your teammates is not an easy task. And I thought there were a few moments at Blackburn where that just showed slightly. I think there was a couple where he just tugged his shirt and he was slightly out of place. But he's a pro's pro, that man, isn't he? Loves a header. And I think over time he's going to be a rock.
Can you imagine what it must be like though, walking into the team for the first time? Like, it's hard enough when you're playing 5-a-side and you don't know anyone, but to go into like a professional match with 11 people, you probably don't know.
I mean, surely he didn't know everyone's name on Saturday.
All right, mate.
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, just a quick chat on this. If everyone's fit, what do you go? Do you go Moore and Helik centre back and Kieran Brown left back, or how do you work it? And if
I was listening to another podcast this morning, the Manor podcast, and they were discussing this very thing as well.
Oh, were they? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like Brown at left back. I'm not going to lie, but he's undroppable.
I mean, so Brown for me has been our player of the season so far.
Yeah, without doubt. I think to move him to left back would be a waste. I don't think he offers anything near as much going forward as Greg Lee does. So
yeah, are Moore and Helik too similar?
You're dropping more. You are. He's injured at the minute. Luckily enough, anyway.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and Nelson, I don't know, but God, I watched that player at the start of the season. I tapped my daughter and I said, "See that bloke over there? You're watching a future England centre back." So
spoil. Maybe we go full Ian Atkins and play 5 central defenders at the back. Question, Matt, how are we affording all this?
Well, it's funny because that was going to be my question to you. I mean, we're not being shy in the transfer market at the moment, are we? And there's a few big numbers being kind of mentioned, and you look at the likes of Helik and Bradshaw. Let's look at Helik. Like, he's not, presumably he's going to match our top wage and that kind of thing. And obviously we went for it in the summer as well. So that is one question, and we've got 11,000 people coming through the gate every week. So that is one thing that does worry me. And then you kind of look at how we could generate some revenue, and maybe there's one player who you might just go, "Ooh," and then there's been a few rumours about it. Can I mention the name now, or?
Yeah, do it.
I mean, Tyler. I mean, he's you probably look across our team and go, he's the one where there's some kind of real value, sitting in him in terms of, his age, obviously his quality, and someone who the hierarchy might look at and go, "Wow, do we cash in?" Now, I don't know. What do you think about that?
Do you know what? I try and be pragmatic when it comes to.
Right, Gary.
Oh yeah. When it comes to like these things, like I don't mind us being a selling club, right? I want us in a way to be a selling club. I don't want us ever to become an absolute kind of financial state like a Reading or all the other clubs that kind of gone bankrupt or folded or whatever. Even back to how we were in the 90s and 2000s. I don't mind us being a selling club. And if somebody came in with say 10 million for Tyler Goodrum, I hate to say it, I love the guy, I really do love the guy, but I think I'd take it, because all it takes is one bad injury for him, and then we kind of kiss goodbye to £10 million.
So how much do you think he's worth?
Well, I mean, you see some of the prices being bandied about at the moment. Who's that guy who played for us, who's at Blackpool now, the striker? Carl Joseph. There's a rumour going around that Hull are trying to buy him for 2.5-3 million at the minute. And like, he was a trier. He was nothing more than that. He's a lovely guy, and I liked him. But if he's worth 3 million from Blackpool, who are a division below us, you've got to double that at least for Tyler, right? At least. So, I mean, somewhere between 6 and 10 million. But I don't understand modern football finances at all, Matt, and I don't think we'll ever find out what we do sell him for, because every bit of business we seem to do is undisclosed.
Yeah.
So, if somebody came in with somewhere between 6 and 10 million, I hate to say it, I love Tyler, and I really do love him, and I'd love to see him play for us forevermore. But I think I'd take it, to be absolutely honest, if it keeps us afloat. And I do think with all these signings that we've made, and there's this rumour of the other guy coming in from Hull as well, the winger. Maybe we're just doing our business before we sell him.
Yeah, maybe. And that's a better way to do it. You know what I mean? So, and we did look good with two quick wingers.
I mean, Dembele looks great.
Dembele and Paqueta, and actually watching the highlights back, Dembele had the even better game than I even thought in many ways.
You are my Oxford hot take.
So one thing we want to do with the You Are My Oxford podcast is have a few regular segments, and one of those is going to be our weekly hot take. So we're going to have a regular section where you, the listener, can come on and voice a take on something. It could be anything from, I don't know, the pies outside the game to the colour of the shirt that we wear to, your all-time favourite Oxford player, whatever it could be. I'm just thinking, but it's going to be our regular hot take.
Yeah. So one thing I spotted last week, actually, on Blue Sky, which is my new social media. Andy from the Oxblogger podcast did a really interesting post in which he said something that's just been kind of gnawing away at me for years and years and years, which is that he thinks the U's is an absolutely terrible nickname. And it's always bothered me as well. So I asked him to send in a little rant telling us why he hates the U's. Here we go.
Okay, so here's my Oxford United hot take. The U's is a really, really shit nickname. It's really, really boring. It's probably the most unimaginative and dull and uninspiring nickname you could come up with. When you've got teams around the country with interesting nicknames and daft ones and silly ones and stuff like the Cobblers and the Hatters and the Toffee Men, it's really dismal to have one which is just the first letter of your football club's surname. It's like a committee of the least imaginative and interesting people who've got together to come up with a nickname. It really bothers me that it's the same as Cambridge United's as well, because people make those associations between Oxford United and Cambridge United, which obviously don't exist. And it really annoys me. It doesn't have any connection to the city of Oxford. There's so many things that we could affiliate ourselves with through the nickname, whether it's kind of the Rover plant or the old when it was building Morris cars or whatever. There's so many aspects of the city that we could associate it with, the club with, and we've just got the U's. It's boring, it's unimaginative, and obviously loads of people always get it wrong as well and call us the O's, which is Leighton Orient's nickname, which by the way makes them sound like a breakfast cereal, which is probably even worse. But yeah, anyway, it needs to be related to Oxford City, the nickname. It shouldn't be related to the university. It should be related to the people of Oxford. But anything other than the U's would be good.
As far as I'm concerned, that's motion past. It is a crap nickname.
Isn't it funny how, someone says something, you go, that's exactly what happens to me. The Cambridge link always crops up with the U's, and people always say, oh, it's the O's, isn't it? No, that's Leighton Orient. That's so funny. I have those conversations over and over again.
A couple of times I've had people say to me, the U's, like the goat, EWE. I thought you're an ox.
I'll have
We
that
should,
as well.
no, I think it makes much more sense to call us something like the Oxes. I came up with another idea, which is I love Scottish football team nicknames. They're always brilliant, and they always kind of involve a local landmark and then something just pure comedy. So Cowden Beath are known as the Blue Brazil because they wear blue and they don't play anything like Brazil. So they're known as the Blue Brazil. So I thought we should be called the BMW Brazil. What do you reckon? Kind of, we got the shirts that are almost Brazilian like.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I mean, it's not a bad starter. I think we need to get other input. What I've always loved with nicknames is when you get those nicknames where it kind of evokes the heritage of a place. So I'm thinking like obviously Northampton, the Cobblers, because it's where there's a lot of shoemaking. Yeovil Town, the Glovers, because there's a lot of glove making factories. Whitney Town, do you know what Whitney Town is, Dan?
Go on, hit me.
The blanket men. Because Whitney used to be famous for blankets, making blankets. So if we follow that, and I quite like it, I think something about cars would be great. So the motors, or that's rubbish, but the motormen, or that. Wow, do you know what I mean? Something cars, and I'm thinking on my feet here, so you help me out. Yeah.
I'm going with the BMW Brazil, and we might even get sponsorship for it.
Yeah, listen, it's not that start. Answers on a postcard or just messages. But I think we should. I think there's something in this, and we should start a petition to the club once we have a few options.
I'm just going to chuck one thing out as well. Does anyone actually say the U's like in real life? Like it's the kind of thing you see on Wikipedia, where it says, information about the club. It says nickname the U's. But have you ever said, I'm going to go and watch the U's?
Yeah, maybe not. Certainly not for a while.
Yeah, the Yellows, I tend to say.
The Yellows, yeah.
Yellows, yeah.
You are my Oxford, Matt's most marvelous memories.
So one thing we want to do, like most episodes, is dig up some interesting moments from our past watching Oxford United, great games we've been to, amazing moments, favourite players, whatever. Matt, I've thrown it over to you this week. You've dug up a moment that you particularly remember. Go on, hit us with it.
Well, I'm just trying to think about what else we might just tease before the end of the show. So I think this might segue quite well into that end of episode 1 tease. But thinking about famous games, over the years, and I thought I'd just go with it with a game that I often think about, and it's not necessarily one of our best or most memorable games. I'll mention it, and people go, "Oh, yeah, I might remember that." It is Bradford away, when Paul Moody scored an absolute stonker. And I was there in the away end. I think it was 1995, 96?
93, 94.
93, 94. Oh, here it is. There. Oh, what a goal. Gosh, it's been a while since I've seen that. The reason I wanted to bring this up is because it was when Moody was on that run and everything he touched just ended up in a goal. And this was a Tuesday or Wednesday night away at Bradford. And I said to my parents, I would have been 15 at the time. No, sorry, 1994. I would have been 14 at the time. And I said to my parents, Moody was on this one. I said, I have to be at Bradford on Tuesday. I have to. And my dad was away at work that week. And my mum said, well, you can't go. I said, Mum, I have to go. I don't know how we get there, but I have to go. My mum doesn't drive, and getting a train up to Bradford and back to Oxford in the same night, impossible. My mum doesn't go to football. She's, she follows Oxford, the rest of the family, but she wasn't going to the Manor week in, week out and that kind of thing. I managed to convince her to go on the London Road club coach, pick up from Oxford, Bradford. So my mum went to Bradford away so I could see it. That goal went in, and I remember we were winning at half time, and it was just phenomenal. And that's probably my mum just calling now, giving me a rollicking for telling this story on the podcast. And we got back to Oxford, I don't know, about 2:30 a.m., but I was absolutely glowing. And hats off to Mrs. G for accompanying me to Bradford away on a Tuesday night in 1993 so I could witness that goal. And it was, Dan, during that period where everything Moody touched turned to gold.
I loved Paul Moody, perhaps more than is actually humanly possible, right? It was a love so pure and so true. To understand Moody at that time, for those who don't remember him playing, we had been a long time without a decent striker. After we'd sold Aldridge and then Saunders, we'd had 4 or 5 years of watching Nick Cusack really like struggling to put the ball anywhere near the goal. And we were in such trouble when Moody joined the club. And he came in, this kind of big, tall, lanky, lumbering, like it just didn't look like a footballer until you put the ball at his feet. And he would just run. He'd get his head down, elbows going everywhere, run at an extraordinary pace for someone who was 6'4" and 15 stone, barging people out of the way, and then just twatting the ball harder than you've ever seen it kicked at the goal. And normally, like the keeper just wouldn't even be able to see it as it kind of whistled past him. And there was a spell where he was just literally unstoppable. Just an absolutely incredible player. For episode 2 of this podcast, we have tracked down Paul Moody, and we have. Well, I say we, Matt. You weren't even involved in it. I'm really sorry. I did it before we joined forces on this. I've tracked down Paul Moody and I've had a chat with him. And I must admit, I fanboy him quite a lot through it. So it's slightly embarrassing at times because I'm literally talking to this man who I loved. But he was just an astonishing player. He's got a really interesting story to tell about that amazing run, how he was feeling, the mental problems. He doesn't mind us talking about it. He went through some real personal difficulties at the time, which resulted in total loss of form. He talks about refinding his form, and then a certain player coming in who he clearly didn't like very much. It's a really, really interesting chat, and that's going to be our episode 2.
I mean, what a player! You've teed it up perfectly. What an enigma! What I just like. It was an incredible moment in time, and you've said it just there, Dan. But the guy, he was so unassuming. Like, get the ball at his feet, and he could just do amazing, wonderful things. So, I've heard that interview. I'm lucky enough to be the first person to hear that interview, and you do not want to miss it. If you're part Oxford United fan, a big fan, if you watch Paul Moody or not, it's such an engrossing, kind of in-depth, revealing interview that goes to all different places. It's Ep 2 tease, and
we are doing this podcast also as a vodcast. So obviously, when I'm doing the chat with Paul Moody, we are watching a lot of goals I've managed to dig up from YouTube together. So if you do want to have a watch of our podcast and future podcasts, they're also going to be available on YouTube. So do take a look there. It's You Are My Oxford on YouTube. We'll send it all out on our socials. Matt, you're doing the socials, I think. Is that right?
Oh yeah, we need to. We're looking for a social media manager at the moment. But you're right, it might well be me. But yeah, thank you for joining us to the very first You Are My Oxford podcast. It's been a lot of fun, Dan.
Enjoyed it. Should we do it again sometime?
Yeah, why not?
A couple of weeks. Cheers,
See ya.
The big man with a big goal on the big occasion.